Am I wrong for telling my parents and my brother that if they wanted his ex removed from my wedding pictures, they'd have to pay for it? My brother goes through women like I go through socks. I gave him a +1 for my wedding 2 years ago. He brought his girlfriend of that time. When we were doing the family pictures, he wanted his girlfriend in the pictures. I said we could do some with her and some without. He got mad that I allowed my sister to have her fiance in all of the pictures, and my other brother was allowed to have his boyfriend of 5 years, but that I had the audacity to exclude his girlfriend of the week. My parents said that they didn't want any fighting and to just include her. They were paying for everything, so I said fine. She isn't in all of our pictures, just the ones with our family in both families. Now my brother is engaged and we had the family over last weekend. His fiancée saw our wedding pictures on the wall and got into a fight with my brother. He never told her that he had been in a serious relationship with her nemesis. He tried explaining that they only dated a very short while. She called bullshit because she was included in the family picture. She asked to see our wedding album. Sure enough, the girl was in multiple pictures with the family and the in-laws. My brother finally calmed her down, but has asked me to take down the pictures or have his ex removed. I said that it was expensive, so he would have to pay for it. He tried complaining to our parents. They said that I was being childish. I reminded them that they were the ones who insisted I give in to him. I said that they were welcome to pay for the editing. They said I was a jerk and that they already paid for the pictures once. Tell me your brother is the golden child without telling me your brother is the golden child.
Am I wrong for telling my sister that she can absolutely not bring her service dog to our wedding? I, 32 male, am getting married to my long-term girlfriend Gemma, 30 female, at the end of November. Now, me and Gemma are having a small wedding with only close friends and family, mainly because we don't want it to be inconvenient. And choosing a venue is really hard due to Gemma's allergy. Gemma's allergic to dogs and terrified of them due to a freak accident. While her allergy is not deadly, even when taking anti-allergies, her face would get significantly swollen. She would get red marks all over that are visible even with heavy makeup, and she would constantly sneeze. Lockdown was a blessing in a way because she could wear a face mask that was helping with allergies. She's still trying to wear it but can't always do it inside as people immediately think she's ill. The issue is my sister Kate has diabetes and has a service dog, Lenny, to help her. I absolutely adore Lenny and Gemma is not scared of him either. But due to the circumstances, I asked her not to bring him. Am I wrong for telling my sister that she can absolutely not bring her service dog to our wedding due to my wife's allergy? So I reminded Katie, my sister, not to bring her dog to our wedding as I believe my future wife should be able to enjoy her day without swelling, which would be hard to avoid due to the venue being small and private. You see, Gemma gets the reaction even if there's a dog in the same supermarket and it doesn't touch her. As a result, my sister reminded me that he's a service animal and I can't ask her not to take him. But I have told her he's still a dog and being a service animal doesn't miraculously cancel my wife's allergies. I'm not asking her not to bring him to family get-togethers, I'm just asking for our wedding. My sister and my mom both called me wrong and are not talking to me and have even threatened not to come to the wedding. To which I said is fine as I value my wife's comfort more, but still, am I wrong? Top comment says, what's your sister's solution? Having your future wife suffer at her own wedding? Is this some kind of dominance play? Am I wrong for refusing to go stay somewhere else so my mom can do the dirty? It's my 19 female birthday on Saturday and I plan to go out and have fun and come home to sleep after I was done. Well, my mom, 43 female, came into my room and asked if I wanted to go and stay somewhere else on that Saturday so she could have her man over to do the deed. I was obviously upset by this and told her I planned on coming home as I wanted to sleep in my own bed. She then persisted that I go and stay with a friend because she didn't want to have to go out to do whatever. I said it's not my problem that she wants someone to come over and I will be coming home to sleep. That's when she told me she would be loud and make sure to wake me up to hear and made it clear she doesn't want me home. This could have been a joke, but either way, that is not normal to say to your child, right? For context, I've been hearing my mom do that with boyfriends since I was about 10 years old and had complained multiple times. I obviously don't want to come home and hear my mom doing that, but I also want to sleep at home. Am I wrong for refusing to stay somewhere else so my mom can do the dirty? I obviously don't want to hear my mom doing that, but I also want to come home and sleep in my bed, and I do live here too. We've been going back and forth on this, and now I'm going to stay somewhere else, but I feel like she's in the wrong for asking me to leave in the first place. I don't know what to think. I understand where she's coming from, but still. Edited to add that I do not pay rent because simply I can't afford to. I can't simply just move out. That's way easier said than done, and when I go to uni next year, I plan on leaving. And my mom also agrees that's the best time for me to move. I'm still in full-time education and have a part-time job, so let's not be harsh on the fact that I still live with my mother. I understand the privilege of living at home rent-free, but it doesn't take away from the fact that my mom wants to get me out of the house just to do the dirty. Some of you also asked about the boyfriend, and yes, he does have his own home. It's just in another city, and I personally never met him. So, am I wrong?
Something went wrong with my heart transplant. I've always had a weak heart. Not just physically, I've always been afraid of my own shadow. It was unsurprising when the doctors told me my heart murmur wasn't just a heart murmur. A year of tests, a year of therapy, constant trips to the hospital, and I was finally told that it had all been for nothing. My poor, weak heart wouldn't last until Christmas.
Oh.
It's a strange thing being told that you're dying. I didn't come to terms with it at first. I drank and I spent my money. I did reckless, stupid things because I was so damn scared.
Yeah.
Then I got the news that a young woman named Laura had been declared brain dead, and that I, the lucky chosen one, would be getting a brand new heart a week later. I drove to the hospital slowly, carefully, and readied myself for the ordeal that was to come. As I was laying in bed on the last night, the thought of Laura swirled around in my head, and it wouldn't leave me alone. It was like her name was in flashing lights every time I closed my eyes. It was wrong. I know it was, but I had to see the woman who was giving me her heart. It didn't feel right not to put a face to the one who was trying to save my life. I knew her name. I knew what ward she was staying on. I had overheard 2 nurses discussing it. HIPAA, bitches. I wandered down the meandering hallways until I found what I was looking for, taking my time, making sure I didn't miss any name. I guess I had time on my hands now. In the second to the last room, she lay in bed. A woman sat on the bed next to her, holding her hand, and my own weak heart stuttered. "Excuse me." I had no idea what to say to her. "I'm Jenna. I'm the person... ... I'm having surgery tomorrow," and what I assumed was Laura's mother stood up and could tell from the look in her eye that she knew who I was. "Thank you for visiting. I know it's strange, but a part of her is going to be living on in you." I stood there, helpless and lost for words. Laura's mother beckoned me over. "Please," she said, "don't feel uncomfortable. It's what she would have wanted." I sat on the chair next to Laura. "How did she..." I broke off. It was too awful to ask. Laura's mother gave me a thin smile. She was a care worker, looked over battered wives, abused women. Last month, she met a guy, and, well, I suppose years of training can't help you when you're in love. She ignored the warning signs, and he killed her. She dedicated her life to those who needed her. Laura's mother looked down. I don't know why I did it, but I reached over and held Laura's hand. I squeezed it. "I'm so sorry. I had a boyfriend once he was like that too. Someone like Laura convinced me to leave." Laura's mother gave me another half smile. I could see tears in her eyes. Then Laura squeezed my hand tightly. She gripped me so hard that her fingernails dug into my skin. I recoiled, a look of horror on my face. Laura's mother looked at me calmly. She squeezes my hand sometimes as well. I think the doctors called it muscle spasms. Either way, there's none of Laura left in there anymore.
Aww.
I looked at the small crescent moon that had just started to bleed in the palm of my hand from the fingernails.
Yeah.
The surgery went perfectly. I was wheeled to the recovery suite after it was over and done with. The raised wound on my chest covered by gauze. It was better if I didn't see it, I thought. I didn't need any more heart issues. I spent the first day doped up on pain medication, only eating a little and sitting up maybe 2 times. It was a long process, they reassured me. Laura's mother came to visit me the day before I was due to leave. Her calm demeanor hadn't wavered, but I could see that she was suffering. She looked 10 years older, and her hands shook when she gave me a hug. Quote, "When are you going home?" "Tomorrow," I told her. "Please come visit whenever you want." I started to jot down my address for her when out of the corner of my eye, a flash of blonde disappeared through the doorway. The same brilliant blonde as Laura's hair. "Ow," I cried suddenly.
Whoa.
It felt like someone had sharply squeezed my hand so hard it almost crushed the bones.
Ah.
Laura's mother rushed over to my side, a look of concern on her face. "What's wrong? Is it your heart?" She stumbled over the last words, coming to terms with what she had said. I tried to reassure her and said I'd let the doctors know, and she left with a look of worry on her face. When I looked down, a new set of crescent fingernails were below the ones that Laura's hand had made. 10 identical bleeding smiles.
Wait, 10.
The taxi ride home was short, and before I knew it, I was back in my own flat. It felt strange to try and slot back into where I'd left off. My life had been almost over the last time I had been here. I looked over the mess and the cardboard boxes, the remnants of one night where I had tearfully tried to pack and store my belongings so my parents wouldn't have had to do it when I died. Laura's heart beat so strongly, it felt like it would come out of my chest. It did this all the time, and I realized this was what a healthy heart must feel like. So why couldn't I shake my feeling of unease? That night, I had a dream. Laura was in her hospital bed, but her mother was gone. I could hear my heart, Laura's heart, beating in my eardrums so loudly it was painful. I tried to cover them, but my hands were pinned to both sides. Some unexplainable force was moving me towards the motionless figure of Laura on the bed. Her lips were blue and the window had come open, whipping her blonde hair around her face. I was almost on top of her when her eyes flew open. They were milky white, the eyes of someone dead. Get out, she rasped, her voice guttural. I could hear the heartbeat faster and faster, drumming until I thought I couldn't take it anymore. Then I woke up. The sound had been real. Laura's heart was so loud, it felt like it would rupture my eardrums, and I screamed in agony trying to cover my ears. It was useless. It was coming from some deep place inside of me. I could feel it reverberating around the hollows of my chest. I stumbled out of bed, gasping for air, and tried to find my phone. I needed to call someone, anyone, an ambulance or my mom, anyone that would pick up. Get out. It was a faint whisper over the hammering thumps of Laura's heart, a low, guttural voice that sounded like it had been made from an animal, and I crawled to the door, down the hallway, choking on my screams for help. My neighbor opened the door, his eyes wide as saucers at the sight of me on the floor, clutching my chest. He drove me to the hospital as I cried in the passenger seat of his car. After about 50 different checkups, the doctors told me that absolutely nothing was wrong with me. They told me my heart was regular, my blood pressure was normal, and that everything was going just swimmingly. I stood in the waiting area, wallowing in my shame and frustration. That heart didn't belong to me. My phone buzzed on the counter, an unknown number. Great. That was all I needed. More unexplained, scary things like a stranger on the end of my phone. My voice sounded small on the line. Hello? Good morning. This is the Thames Valley Police. We've called to report an incident that occurred in your flat at around 1:30 a.m. today. I felt a wave of embarrassment. I'm so sorry. I recently had surgery and wasn't feeling well. I had to have my neighbor drive me to the hospital, and I think I panicked a little bit in the hallway before I left. There was a small silence on the other end of the phone. I'm afraid this is something you might want to be sitting down for.
What?
I felt Laura's heartbeats, strong and calm. Quote, there was an incident of forced entry by Mr. Samuel Matthews. According to our police records, he's your ex-partner, and you filed a restraining order against him in September of 2017. My blood ran cold. I did. He's in police custody. We found an automatic weapon on him, and we believe he had the intent to harm you. We have an officer currently stationed at your flat who can fill you in depending on how long your hospital stay will be. I thanked him and hung up the phone. For a moment, I leaned against the wall, the horror slowly spreading over me. If I had been in my flat, 10 minutes later, he would have found me.
Oh my God.
Laura's heartbeats filled my ears again, but now they were gentle, calming. Her mother said she dedicated every part of her to helping those who needed it. I put both my hands on my chest, overwhelmed by my own gratitude, and listened to Laura.